Hello, and welcome back to Storytime with Eric Zimmer. I can't believe I've done 200 episodes of this already. Well, now a while ago, I did all the Roald Dahl books. Well, it turns out I did most of them, but there are 3 I have not done yet that I am gonna do now. A friend of mine generously lent me a few of his Roald Dahl books. Nick Moscato, who also does Storytime. Thank you so much, Nick. I recommend subscribing to his channel as well as my own. Now, the first of the 3 stories he lent me is this one from 1985. The Giraffe and the PELLY and Me. It's one of his shorter books, and it only has a few characters in it. A kid named Billy, the giraffe, the PELLY, which is short for pelican, the Duke of Hampshire, and the monkey. You ready? Alright. Let's begin. Not far from where I live is a queer old empty wooden house standing all by itself on the side of the road. I long to explore inside it, but the door is always locked, and when I peer through a window, all I can see is darkness and dust. I know the ground floor used to be a shop because I can still read the faded lettering across the front which says, The Grubber. My mother has told me that in our part of the country in the olden days, a grubber was another name for a sweet shop, and now every time I look at it, I think to myself, what a lovely old sweet shop it must have been. On the top window itself, somebody has painted in white the words, For Sale. One morning I noticed that For Sale had been scrapped off the shop window, and in its place somebody had painted Sold. Well, they spelt the words wrong. I stood there staring at the new writing and wishing like mad that it had been me who had brought it, because then I would have been able to make it into a grubber all over again. I've always longed and longed to own a sweet shop. The sweet shop of my dreams would be loaded from top to bottom with sherbet suckers and caramel fudge and Russian toffee and sugar snorters and butter gumballs and thousands of other glorious things like that. Oh boy, what I couldn't have done with that old grubber shop if it had been mine. On my next visit to the grubber, I was standing across the road gazing at the wonderful old building when suddenly an enormous bathtub came sailing out through one of the second floor windows and crashed right onto the middle of the road. Good thing he was out of the way. A few moments later, a white porcelain lavatory pan, lavatory is another word for bathroom, with a wooden seat still on it, came flying out of the same window and landed with a wonderful splintering crash just beside the bathtub. This was followed by a kitchen sink and an empty canary cage and a 4-poster bed and 2 hot water bottles and a rocking horse and a sewing machine and goodness knows what else besides. For some reason, he looks amused at this. It looked as though some madman was ripping out the whole of the inside of the house, because now pieces of staircase and bits of the banisters and a whole lot of wood old floorboards came whistling through the windows. Then there was silence. I waited and waited, but not another sound came from within the building. I crossed the road and stood under the windows and called out, "Is anybody at home?" There was no answer. In the end, it began to get dark, so I had to turn away and start walking home. But you can bet your life nothing was going to stop me from hurrying back there again tomorrow to see what the next surprise was going to be. When I got back to the grubber house the next morning, the first thing I noticed was the new door. The dirty old brown door had been taken out of, and in its place someone had fitted a brand new red one. The new door was fantastic. It was twice as high as the other one had been, and it looked ridiculous. I couldn't begin to imagine who would want a tremendous tall door like that in this house unless it was a giant. As well as this, somebody had scraped away the sold notice on the shop window, and now there was a whole lot of different writing all over the glass. I stood there reading it and trying to figure out what on earth it all meant. The Ladderless Window Cleaning Company. Get your windows cleaned without a lot of dirty ladders leaning against your house. I tried to catch some sign or sound of movement inside the house, but there was none. Until all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that one of the windows on the top floor was slowly beginning to open outwards. Then a head appeared at the open window. I stared at the head. The head stared back at me with big, round, dark eyes. It's a giraffe! Suddenly, a second window was flung wide open, and of all the crazy things, a gigantic white bird hopped out and perched on the windowsill. I knew what this one was because of its amazing beak, which was shaped like a huge orange-colored basin. A pelican. The pelican looked down at me and sang out, "Oh, how I wish for a big fat fish! I'm as hungry as ever could be. A dish of fish is my only wish. How far are we from the sea?" Well, if this is England, they're not very far from the ocean or the English Channel. "We are a long way from the sea," I called back to him, "but there's a fishmonger in the village not far away." "A fish what?" "A fishmonger." "Now what on earth would that be?" asked the pelican. "I've heard of a fish pie and a fish cake and a fish finger, but I've never heard of a fishmonger. Are these mongers good to eat?" This question baffled me a bit, so I said, "Who's your friend in the next window?" "She is the giraffe," the pelican answered. "Is she not wonderful? Her legs are on the ground floor and her head is looking out of the top window." As if all this wasn't enough, the window on the first floor was now flung wide open and out popped a monkey. The monkey stood on the windowsill and did a jiggly little dance. He was so skinny he seemed to be made only out of furry bits of wire. But he danced wonderfully well, and I clapped and cheered and did a little dance myself in return. "We are window cleaners," sang out the monkey. "We will polish your glass till it's shining like brass and it sparkles like sun on the sea. We are quick and polite, we will come day or night, the giraffe and the PELLY and me." Hence the title of the story. "We're a fabulous crew, we know just what to do, and we never stop work to drink tea. All your windows will glow when we give them a go, the giraffe and the PELLY and me. We use water and soap, plus some kindness and hope, but we never use ladders, not we. Who needs ladders at all when you're 30 feet tall, not giraffe, not PELLY, and not me?" I stood there enthralled. Then I heard the giraffe saying to the pelican in the next window, "PELLY, my dear, be so good as to fly down and bring that small person up here to talk to us." At once the pelican spread its huge white wings and flew down onto the road beside me. "Hop in," he said, opening its enormous beak. I stared at the great orange beak and backed away. "Go on," the monkey shouted from up in his window. "The PELLY isn't going to swallow you. Climb in." I said to the pelican, "I'll only get in if you promise not to shut your beak once I'm inside." "You have nothing to fear," cried the pelican. "And let me tell you why. I have a very special beak. A special beak have I. You'll never see a beak so fine. I don't care where you go. There's magic in this beak of mine. Hop in and don't say no." "I will not hop in," I said, "unless you swear on your honor you won't shut it once I'm inside. I don't like small dark places." "When I have done what I am just about to do," said the pelican, "I won't be able to shut it. You don't seem to understand how my beak works." "Show me," I said. "Watch this," cried the pelican. I watched in amazement as the top half of the pelican's beak began to slide smoothly backwards into his head until the whole thing was almost out of sight. "It bends and goes down inside the back of my neck," cried the pelican. "Is that not sensible? Is it not magical?" "It's unbelievable," I said. "It's exactly like one of those metal tape measures my father's got at home. When it's out, it's straight. When you slide it back in, it bends and disappears." Precisely, said the pelican. You see, the top half is of no use to me unless I am chewing fish. The bottom half is what counts, my lad. The bottom half of this glorious beak of mine is the bucket in which we carry our window cleaning water. So if I didn't slide the top half away, I'd be standing around all day long holding it open. So I slide it away for the rest of the day. Even so, I'm still able to speak. And whenever I've flown, it has always been known as the pelican's patented beak. If I want to eat fish, that's my favorite dish, all I do is I give it a tweak. In the blink of an eye, out it pops, and they cry, it's the pelican's patented beak. Stop showing off down there, shouted the monkey from the upstairs window. Hurry up and bring that small person up to us. The giraffe is waiting. I climbed into the big orange beak, and with a swoosh of wings, the pelican carried me back to his perch on the windowsill. The giraffe looked out of her window at me and said, How do you do? What is your name? Billy, I told her. Well, Billy, she said, we need your help and we need it fast. We must have some windows to clean. We've spent every penny we had on buying this house and we've got to earn some more money quickly. The Pelly is starving, the monkey is famished, and I am perishing with hunger. The Pelly needs fish, the monkey needs nuts, and I'm even more difficult to feed. I'm a Geranius giraffe, and a Geranius giraffe cannot eat anything except the pink and purple flowers of the tinkle tinkle tree. Tinkle tinkle tree. But those, as I'm sure you know, are hard to find and expensive to buy. The pelican cried out, Right now I'm so hungry I could eat a stale sardine. Has anyone seen a stale sardine of a bucket of rotten cod? I'd eat the whole lot upon the spot. I'm such a hungry bod. Every time the pelican spoke, the beak I was standing in jiggled madly up and down, and the more excited he got, the more it jiggled. The monkey said, What Pelly's really crazy about is salmon. Yes, yes, cried the pelican, salmon. Oh, glorious salmon. I dream about it all day long, but I never get any. And I dream about walnuts, shouted the monkey. A walnut fresh from the tree is scrumptious, galumphous, so flavory savory, so sweet to eat, that it makes me all wobbly just to think about it. At exactly that moment, a huge wide Rolls-Royce pulled up right below us, and a chauffeur in a blue and gold uniform got out. He was carrying an envelope in one gloved hand. Good heavens, I cried. That's the Duke of Hampshire's car. Who's he? Asked the giraffe. He's the richest man in England, I said. Even richer than the Queen of England? The chauffeur knocked on the door of the grubber. He looked up and saw us.